Hi, my name is McIntyre from 21st Century Education. I'm joined today by John Thompson. John's from Perth. He's been a 21st Century member for how long? When did you join 21st Century, John?
4 years.
4 years ago? Okay. And how did you find out about 21st Century, do you remember?
A dear little old Italian lady gave me your promotional tape.
Okay.
She said, give it to John. And John, all John knew about shares was I bought some Tesla shares.
Wow, so that's all you've done at that point?
Yeah, that's all I've done.
So John has, we're going to find out shortly, John's had some amazing success in the share market. He's someone that's actually he's taken action with some of the strategies, done incredibly well. So John, after you would have studied the home study, and then you would have went to a 4-day event. And
yes.
Was that 4 years ago you went to the 4-day event?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And after that, how long did it take you to get into action?
1 week.
1 week.
And I paid $3,000 for the program.
Yeah.
The first week I made, because it was the first week into the month, I made $3,500.
Wow! So you're saying,
and the second.
So your first week, so you enrolled in the program, and a week later you made $3,500 strategy. So you initially started with share renting, writing some covered calls. Yeah. And that was straight away. So you got into action. You studied the home study. You come to the 4-day, and then you took action.
That's right.
Straight away. Straight away. That's great. And then since then, what's happened over the last 3 or 4 years? What sort of success have you been able to achieve?
Well, I progressed from the first month 3.5, the second month $7,000.
$7,000.
And then $15,000.
How excited, by the way? How excited were you? Were you like jumping around the house, or were you pretty just
I was just exploring something that was new and quite amazed how relaxed I was. But
do you mind if I ask how old you are, John?
36.
36. It's jumping every time.
Would you believe 36?
I'm not going to believe that, but maybe viewers won't believe that.
I'm 78.
You're 78. Yeah. Okay. So what would you say to people that say, I should have did this years ago, I'm too old to start now? What would you say to if someone says that?
It depends. No, absolutely not true.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm an example.
Yeah, so how are you doing now? How much money have you made, say, in recent months?
I was working with $130,000 until the stock market crashed.
Yeah.
And I brought $100,000 back.
Yep. So during the credit crisis?
Yeah.
So you're not like some people when the credit crisis happened, especially a lot of baby boomers and the older generation obviously got very scared and pulled all their money out. The challenge what can happen is that they tend to pull it out after the market's crashed, and which is even worse compounds it, because then when the market does rise back, the money's not in there. You decided to not be too fearful, to test a slightly different strategy, what we talk about selling insurance, and get back into the market.
That's right. Yeah. And I built that up, and I was making about $5,000 a week.
$5,000 a week.
Yeah, and
folks, this is a 78-year-old from Perth. $5,000 a week. I don't know how that's sounding for you, but how was your wife? Was she pretty ecstatic, or was she like, you can do better than that?
My wife was the only person I could talk to about this, and I was Skyping. I said I can get whatever I want.
Wow.
With this strategy, and she laughed at me. And that's all I needed.
A bit of motivation.
So I said, right, what do you want? She said, $10,000 a week. I immediately sold.
She's an expensive wife, by the way. So your wife said to you, I want you to make $10,000.
She was just challenging.
Just challenging, yeah.
Because I was a bit too cocky. And but you see, the proposition is simple.
Yeah. You
get a percentage on the capital you've got
invested, yes.
And I was getting 8% at the time, and I knew.
So folks out there listening, this 8% per month. And you're doing this in the US market, correct?
Yes. And so to get $10,000 a week, that's $40,000 a month. At 8%, I need 5/8 of 40, which is $500,000
in the market.
So I had to sell a unit.
Wow, yeah. And
I put in $200,000 from that sale into the market, and I put some more cash over there since, but I've now got $550,000 since last month.
And if you're saying in the last month or recent months you've achieved your goal of $40,000 a month?
Now I'm making better than $40,000 a month. I've got
I mean, I know you can't live on that, but it's not a bad start for the people out there listening. So, and Perth is an expensive city, but $40,000 a month when you have a decent retirement.
I can live with that. Last time I was working for on a JOB, I was getting $20,000 a year.
Wow.
That's teaching. I'm getting $400 a week a month. I thought that was an obscene amount of money at the time.
So you're saying your wife, you're making $5,000 or $6,000 a week,
yeah.
and you couldn't talk to anyone else because they probably think you're crazy.
Well, they just wouldn't know what I was talking about.
And then your wife challenged you to make $10,000 a week, and you accepted the challenge, and you went out and did more than that, more than $40,000 a month.
Yeah, well, I'm making more. I'm making that 10% a month at present.
Wow, on $500,000 investment.
Yeah.
Wow. And wow, that's fantastic. That is an amazing story. I think you would inspire a lot of people, John, that it doesn't matter about age. So what's been your secret to success? What have you, what would you say to other people that want to maybe emulate even that on a fraction of the scale? They just want to make $4,000 a month. What should they do?
Anyone can do exactly what I'm doing and get a percentage. They won't get the $40,000 a month immediately, but they'll get 8%.
Yeah.
Or, to be realistic, somebody starting out, they're going to get between maybe 3 or 6%.
Now, some people might say, well, maybe it must be highly risky what you're doing, but you're pretty much doing one of the strategies we teach, and you're just pretty much doing a cash flow strategy, aren't you? You're not buying stock. You're selling what we call insurance, and you're generating cash flow. And as far as your risk management techniques, you obviously also been able to manage your risk, where you've been able to preserve and grow your capital.
Yes, I have got about 4 strategies for avoiding being exercised, and the latest one is I can now say I need never be exercised.
Wow.
Just by tweaking it a little bit. And I also have 2 strategies if I happen to get it.
So what you've taken is you've taken what you've been taught at 20% and you expand on that, and which often happens to people. They get out there and they start trading, and you learn the finer distinctions by being in the market. And obviously you've developed that, but you obviously developed a strategy that you have obviously got a good psychology behind you. And would you say you're fairly calm, calculated investor?
Would you believe it's boring? I sit down at night and I spend an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Because some people say, how much time? You say you're spending an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Because I love doing it.
You love doing it.
But you need to spend a bit of time if you're going to maximise your return.
Yeah.
And I'll make 4,000 a night, 3,000.
Right.
I go to bed. When I go to bed, I run a little account for my wife. She's asleep. She wakes up and she says, "How much did you make?" I tell her, she said, "What do I get?"
So no wonder she's challenging to do well. That's great. Well, first of all, I just wanted to commend John on your efforts. It's good to see people taking action, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of people out there who would love to hear more about you and hear about your story, because that's a phenomenal story. And we know in the markets people don't always do well, but you're someone that's been able to consistently do well over a long period of time. You've been through a credit crisis there, and where a lot of people got scared and panicked, you're able to take advantage of that and still do well. So as far as how do you go about spending $40,000 a month, or you just reinvest it?
I want to get 80,000 a month.
80,000 a month.
And I've got a target at the end of next September.
Yeah.
And if I just maintain what I'm doing, don't get greedy or careless, that's where I'll be.
Wow.
But I'd just like to give a plug to you and 21st Century, because what people need to understand is the strategy that you present is simple, but it's not easy to implement. It's simple, and all you have to do is go and act on the strategy that you taught in the Homestudy. And if you follow my rules anyway, you can't do it.
And like most people starting off small, and obviously what we teach people to paper trade initially, but you sort of test on a small amount of money, because you said you made $3,500 in your first week. So we would recommend that most people obviously paper trade and build themselves up. Yes.
Well, I'd say to people, if you do a trade and you make $10 or whatever, it doesn't matter the amount of money, it's do the trade, succeed, get rid of the fear, then you can start making the bigger money.
You build up your confidence. Yes, that's great. Well, it's been great chatting to you, John. We look forward to seeing and hearing more of your successes in the future. And you're an awesome man, and it's great for people to be able to see what you've done. Thank you.
That's very flattering. Thank you.
You're welcome.